Oh, hi there. I didn't expect you to actually click play on this video. Looks like I lost a bet. Anyway, I watch a lot of terrible things, but today we're talking about something I felt I had to let people know about, mainly because I can't figure out if I want to warn all humanity or start a religion based on it. Today we're talking about Deadly Games. For those of you who don't know, by which I mean all of you, Deadly Games was a TV series launched in 1995 by the then brand new UPN network. Younger viewers may know it as one of the network corpses later sewn into the Frankenstein's monster that is the CW. At the time, it was more like Fox's meth-addled cousin. For further context, TV science fiction and fantasy was going through a cheesy renaissance. The success of The X-Files, Star Trek The Next Generation, and Star Trek Deep Space Nine had opened the door wide for sci-fi on TV. William Shatner's Tech War had wriggled through the door in '94, and Hercules' The Legendary Journeys would come barreling through it in '95. UPN built itself on genre shows, with early offerings like Nowhere Man, Star Trek Voyager, and endless hours of Next Generation reruns.
There's something coming!
Every second of airtime needed filling, however, which brings us to Deadly Games. Produced by Leonard Nimoy, Deadly Games was either a response to or a mockery of William Shatner's efforts to go from starring in ham-bone science fiction to making it. Deadly Games has a simple premise. Video game villains, as imagined by people who'd only heard of video games, escape into the real world and must be defeated by their creator using esoteric in-game weaknesses. Each episode is a new level with a guest star villain, usually drawn from the cast of Star Trek.
You're fired.
And they are led by Christopher Lloyd, who spends his time chewing the scenery, sometimes literally.
What a day to blow the heck out of a football stadium.
We're going to be hitting each of the surviving episodes one at a time, so you'll get all the details there. And yes, I do mean surviving. I would love to be reviewing this from DVD, but I don't have a choice. It isn't out on DVD, and it isn't available through Netflix or Hulu. The show apparently doesn't even exist anymore. The only copies I've been able to find are on YouTube, and there's only been 11 9/10 of 13 episodes found. Seriously, the 12th episode is missing the last 5 minutes or so. As this is the first episode, we're also introducing a bonus segment. Schnapps?
Thank you, Congressman. I thought you would never ash. While the blue guy takes you through the first episode, I'm going to elucidate you to the rules of the Deadly Games Very Deadly Drinking Game.
Deadly Games Very Deadly Drinking Game is a parody concept not recommended for human participation. If you insist on ignoring these warnings and playing anyway, for God's sake, have at minimum 4 participants and take turns based on the criteria. Do not watch more than 2 episodes at a go. Please drink responsibly and know your limits. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees. Dilute, dilute, dilute.
Back to yous.
Here's to regret, and to what might have been. The series wastes no time getting us to the reason we're here. Series villain Sebastian Jackal, played by Christopher Lloyd of Back to the Future fame. Rule number 1. Every time Jackal drinks, you take a drink too. And we meet the first of his revolving cast of disposable henchmen, Killshot, played by Tom Rothman. Never heard of him? Not surprised! He's an actual football player, formerly of the 49ers, hired in a Baywachian move for his first and only acting role. I have no idea why his acting career never took off.
Warhead's loaded. Gave me a blister on my thumb.
I could get rid of it if you like. The thumb, that is.
Rule number 2. If Jackal makes a sarcastic quip, take a sip. The show continues to not waste time as the kid charges up in a jeep, kills a bunch of dudes, and dodges exploding footballs being thrown at him before rescuing the girl. But he wastes time in his escape and gets killed by a flying exploding football. No, the pilot isn't incredibly short. This is the video game, which looks 100% like real life and is not a Sega CD-style FMV game. In 1995. Video games do not work that way. Rule number 3. Anytime science computers or video games in particular don't work like that, take a shot. Sweet genius, are you trying to kill them? Maybe. The show now introduces us to our protagonist, Gus Lloyd. Yes, our hero is actually named Gus. He's the inventor of the game. He's played by James Calvert, who would later go on to never star in anything again. We also meet the series sidekick, Peter, a dorky, cool guy computer expert. He is played by Stephen Kay, who would later go on to become a pretty prolific TV director, working on Saturday Night Lights, The Shield, and a number of other shows with dignity. Here, however, he helps Gus with an exposition dump as they rewind video game events like it was an old VHS tape.
Try this. Bust her out, then blow out of there before Killshot can come after you.
Peter suggests Gus skip the kiss to survive, something Gus should know would work because he made the game. But more importantly, Gus's offense will be very telling later on.
Skip the kiss?
they decide to get back to work. Are they computer programmers working on the game in their spare time? Accountants? Electrical engineers? Nope. Gus is not only the inventor of a shockingly advanced video game, he's a physicist working on harnessing antimatter in a lab that appears to be shoved into a studio apartment. Shockingly, it isn't working all that well, and Dr. Chang, Gus's boss, doesn't have much hope for it.
Creation of pure energy is a fantasy. Even your father's gone on record.
My father's been wrong before. Plenty of times.
Gus has serious issues with his dad. And everyone else. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. More importantly, Gus randomly gets the inspiration he needs to pull off his experiment.
Now, density. Put this in the record, Dad.
Which, of course, goes completely to plan.
You did it! You got antimatter, man! I know! I can't make it stop!
Reading the game. I get reading the game.
Because if it didn't, there wouldn't be a series. Mid-90s special effects happen, and gets real. Literally.
Gus. Ah, that cold steel kid, as I live and breathe. Which son of a gun? I'm doing, aren't I? I don't believe we've been introduced. I'm Sebastian Jekyll.
As a video game programmer, Gus has all the subtlety of a freight train. That's the show's excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Level 1, kid. Start.
Jackal and Killshot have been brought to life, but since the game was in game over mode when that happened, Gus's in-game counterpart doesn't get to incarnate as a living being. Jackal, of course, then treats Gus as the Cold Steel Kid for all intents and purposes. Gus takes this in stride, reacting with the kind of annoyance one typically reserves for visits with the in-laws.
That's great, Gus. Tell you what, I'm gonna call the cops, then I'm out of here.
What are you gonna tell them? A couple of killing machines just popped in from our video game. Hold your fire, it only makes them mad.
Gus intends to fix the antimatter what's-it and send the baddies back, but a flaw in the plan comes to light.
You heard, Jackal. The game is in play. Level 1 start is Killshot goes after the girl.
Hey, how can he go after the girl if the girl didn't cross over? Am I right or am I...
Our final regular character shows up in the form of Gus's attempting to move on with her life ex-wife Lauren, a reporter played by Cynthia Gibb, who's best known as Sandy from Short Circuit 2. Rule the fourth. If you kinda recognize an actor for something, but can't quite place where they're from, take a drink. After the divorce, Gus programmed her into the game as the girl in a way that is not at all Robin Thicke level creepy. And of course, Gus busts in on Lauren, her fiancé, and her fiancé's mother while waving a machine gun. Everyone takes this remarkably well, considering.
You found out about the wedding? Is that it? You're here to sabotage the wedding?
Absolutely not. But did you notice that Harry and his mother left holding hands? Holding hands?
Rule number 5. Whenever Gus is a petulant dick, take a shot. Stay classy, Gus. Stay classy. Gus tells Lauren that she's going to be the target for murderous video game baddies. Their interaction goes something like this. What you're saying is so dumb it could be a show on the UPN. How can you remarry without telling me? What do you mean I don't know how divorce works? The two bicker until Killshot bursts in and Gus uses the highly realistic water gun he's holding to drive him off. Ah, the 90s, when you could rob a convenience store with a squirt gun.
I told you to wear your raincoat, but no, you knew best.
Jackal, you magnificent bastard. If you had any question that someone wrote a cartoon and sent the storyboards to the wrong studio, this should settle those arguments. Gus reveals how the bad guys, and thus the entire series formula, works. The bad guys still have to play by the rules of the game. They're unkillable normally, but each has a vulnerability that slows them down, and one that kills them. They have to follow the game's plot, and each villain has a backup plan if they're thwarted in their first action, such as the kidnapping attempt. I've been busting Gus's chops, but to the show's credit, he's supposed to be a self-centered man-child. The other characters constantly criticize his passive-aggressive video game fantasy, his divorce is driven by his obliviousness, and the whole series is literally his own pettiness coming back to destroy him. The show never pretends that he's a great and stalwart chosen hero, despite all his faults, putting it leaps and bounds beyond some other series. Charmed!
It's a little childish. Making a psycho out of anyone who used to beat you up for being a geek.
First off, I was not a geek. I happened to be third fastest on my swim team. He could hit a dime from 30 yards, but he was scared stiff of the pool.
Oh, so this water thing, that's your pathetic little way of getting even?
Exactly.
Rule number 6. If the rules of beating a bad guy are so specific to Gus's life that no one else could ever figure them out, finish your drink. Now let's talk life insolvents policies.
Killshot is just a pawn. The game is about Jackal and his quest to destroy life as we know it, until every pleasure we hold dear, from going to a ball game to falling in love, is just a memory.
Subtlety of a freight train. Gus tries to make a move, gets rebuffed, and Jackal pops by to gloat, giving us more reason to keep on going. With the episode, with the series, with life.
You know why you can't win, kid? Why you can't win? You sleep.
Just in general.
This is the guy you're so afraid of?
No, but please, my dear, you only wrinkled the suit. If you do get past Killshot, who, by the way, is in a foul mood, you'll still have your hands full with the others.
They must have come in behind the light. I programmed dozens of them.
And we have a series, people! After Jackal leaves and Gus realizes just how much he's screwed up, they try to stop Killshot from stealing a helicopter equipped with a nuclear bomb that he intends to fire into the Super. This being 1995, they can say the word Super without being sued. This does not protect them against heat-seeking exploding footballs, forcing them to drive into the bay for more quips from Jackal.
She's gone Moxie, kid. I think I'll have her stopped.
After a wild goose chase that reveals that the game parameters can be bent based on wordplay, Lauren lets slip that they are going to try and reprogram the game. This forces Steve to destroy the computers to keep Killshot from getting access to reprogram himself and Jackal to invincibility. Gus and Lauren try to intercept Killshot at the launch site from the game, but running Killshot down fails and she's imprisoned, bringing the whole thing full circle.
Warhead's loaded. Gave me a blister on my thumb.
I could get rid of it if you liked. The thumb, that is.
Only this time, Killshot leaves in the helicopter with Gus clinging to it. Gus and Killshot have it out, with Gus using taunts to get Lauren's help in dispatching the big lummox.
Even if you win now, Kill, you still got that bum leg. They threw you right out the door when you dropped out of sight.
Lauren gets the final kill with a squirt gun in her purse. And as for Killshot, well...
Fatality.
Rule number 7. Chug your drink anytime a minor villain gets axed and... Whoa! Oh. Yeah, that's the floor, all right.
When did you learn how to fly?
I have no idea how to fly.
What?
Relax, I took lessons. I've been thinking about our marriage. I guess since you made me so happy, I assumed I was doing the same for you. I'm just sorry I wasn't. I don't know about his mom, but that Harry seems like an okay guy. I wish you the best.
Gus learns a lesson, they fly off, and no one questions or detains them when they land a stolen helicopter armed with a nuclear warhead. Of course, Gus gets second thoughts about letting Lauren go, but she's since called off the wedding.
So, what's next, kid?
We moved to the next level, one step closer to Jackal.
We were partners for Killshot, and he's dead.
Is that what you thought? That it was just the one time?
Are you telling me I'm in this living hell till the end?
I couldn't have put it better myself.
And neither could I. This show is awful, but it's awful in the right way. In another universe, this could have run for a while. The villains are colorful and over the top, and Christopher Lloyd is a scenery-chewing, quip-spouting supervillain delight. And it has creative points too, with the romantic tension between Gus and Lauren hanging on reconciling an already failed relationship, and by having a hero who is literally the cause of all of his own problems, both mundane and supernatural. But there's bad points too. Despite some good chemistry with the rest of the cast, Gus doesn't have enough charisma points to carry a show on his own. And if you stop to think about things for even a moment, the plot goes from being a narrative to being a fever dream. That and the creators of the show had no idea how anything worked. Especially video games. But we're in it till the end. There's 10 9/10 of an episode to go. Join us next time for Level 2, when Shirley Jones from the Partridge Family plays a homicidal mother-in-law with deadly ice powers. No, really.
terrible dream. Where is everybody? Damn reptilians.
Hey, Pipples, if you liked our nonsense, why not give us a like, or a subscribe, or leave a comment down there somewhere?
You can also do us a big solid by joining our Patreon, where you'll get to join us for live streams, get early access to the newest videos, and other such things.
Geek Vision.